On today's episode, we are going to be creating the Apple AirPod Max landing page using HTML and CSS. Then for the sake of responsiveness, we're going to be using JavaScript, a tiny little bit of it, just to toggle on and off the Nav menu. And now let me show you the full website that we're going to be creating in this series. It is the Apple AirPod Max. We have just some Nav menu right here with a button, and then the logo has a text and it says AirPods Max. Then we have the hero section, and then the buttons, and then this nice image right here. Next we have text for the designs and all. So basically all the content you see right here was gotten from Apple's original website. And then one of the interesting parts of this is the tooltip, the hotspot. So as you can see, we have this nice tooltip right here. So if you hover over them, they come up just like that. And if you want to see how I did this, so make sure you stick to the end of this tutorial to get that details. Also, we have this other content right here. Next, we have the case. So this case was made by Apple, while this one is made by this company. I can't really pronounce this, but this is the company that made it. So they make affordable and durable cases specifically for travelers. So yeah, that is that. And then we have the product section. So basically these are all the colors they have right now. And with the button has some nice animation, some nice over interaction as well. Then the footer area. And I mentioned earlier that the website is responsive, so I'm going to be showing you the responsive mode as well. So if I should go like this, and as you can see right now, this is the responsive mode. So this is the only thing we'll be doing with JavaScript, just this header section right here. So the toggle, and also when, as you can see right now, it is transparent, but the moment I scroll up like this, as you can see, there is this dark background underneath it. So these are the only things we're going to be doing with JavaScript, and it's going to be a tiny little bit of code. So as you can see, the rest are just awesome, and then they are perfect. Okay, so if you are interested in learning how I did all this, please like this video, and also don't forget to subscribe to this channel, because content like this will be coming up every time. So I originally made this website on Figma. So I made this design from scratch on Figma myself, and I only copied all the content from Apple's original website. And then from Figma, the first thing I did was I made a tutorial on how you can run the same exact website using WordPress with the help of the Elementor page builder. So if you're interested in watching that tutorial, I'm going to leave a link in the description and also in the card right here, so you could get that knowledge as well. And then please know that as at the time of recording this video, it was 2 a.m. and I just woke up, so my voice was a little bit thick, so please forgive that. All right, with that being said, let's jump right into this tutorial. So basically what I have here is just some HTML boilerplate, and then some comments telling us the section we are to take next. All right guys, so I'm going to be starting with the main CSS right here. So I'll be linking the CSS to my HTML, and then we have this box icon right here. So I'm going to go to box icon page right here. So this is the URL, boxicons.com, and I'm going to I activated the dark theme, so in case you see this, don't think you're not on the right path. All right, so I'm going to go to usage, come down to usage as font. So I'm going to copy all this, come back to my code and paste it right here. So the next thing I'm going to do is to go to my style.css. I already have my root color right here, and what I want to do is put in my font, the font I'll be using. So for that, I'll come down to fonts.google.com, this URL, and again I'm using the dark theme, so in case you're seeing something like this. So font.google.com, I'm going to search for Poppins, and here it is. So I'll click on that and select the font weight that I want. So I have my fonts here, and then I want to import it with the CSS. So I'm going to click on that import and then copy this code. Come down here, and at the very top, I'll create some room and paste it right there. So next, I'm going to be making some basic styling and then some reusable code, some reusable CSS classes right here. So first, I'll be making the basic styling. I'm taking off the margin and the padding, and also I'll make the border box sizing to be border box. So to remove all the default margin and padding that comes with the page. And next, I'm going to be in the body tag. I'll just make a margin from the top is going to be 4rem, and the other parts left, right, and bottom is going to be 0. And then the font size is going to be 15 pixel. Then I'm going to make the color, the text color is going to be white all through. And yeah. So next, I'm going to make the font family. For the font family, I'm going to come back to the fonts.google.com, and then I'm just going to copy this over. Like so. So I'll continue with the basic CSS classes and then the basic styling. So for the UL, I just want to remove all the list style. So the list style is going to be none, if I can type. And then the A's, all the A, I want to make the text decoration to also be none, so we don't have any line underneath everything. And next, for the H1, I'm going to drag all the H, so all the headings, so the H1, H2, H3, and then H4. So I just want to give them a font weight of 600 pixel, 600 rather, and I want to make it important. Okay, so next I'm going to be styling the image, giving them a width of 100%, and then the height of also. Next, I'm going to be doing the buttons. So for every button we'll be using on this page, we want them to have no border, no outline, and then we want the cursor to be pointer. So if you take a closer look in the HTML, you see there is this main section right here that has a class of main. So we're going to be adding that class right here as well. So main, for the main, all we need here is just an overflow of hidden. Next, we want to style the general section. So we're using this CSS class for every section we'll be creating. So we need padding of 4rem for now, and then that's the top. Then the left and right is going to be 0, and then the bottom is going to be 2rem. Then we'll have our container class as well. So for the container, I want a max width of 968 pixel, and then a margin right of 1.5 rem, and a margin left of 1.5 rem as well. Alright, next we'll be styling the grid class. So just make that display grid, and that is all. Then for flex, we're also going to be doing display flex. All right. So next, I want to style the BTN classes. So I'm going to have the BTN, and I'm going to say background. For the background, it's going to be alt blue. Nope. Let's do padding first. So padding is going to be 12 pixel and then 30 pixel. 12 pixel top and bottom, 30 pixel left and right. So the color here is going to be a blue color, and then we're going to have a okay, sorry, the color is going to be white. Then our background is going to be blue color, and then we're going to have our border radius, and that's going to be 50 pixel. Then for the font weight, we're going to have 600, and then transition is going to be 0.4 seconds. Then for the button hover, BTN hover, we're just going to have a background of alt blue color. For the second BTN, we're going to have same padding of 12 pixel and 30 pixel. We're going to have our color of white, and then we're going to have a border of 2 pixels solid, and then we're going to have a white color as well. Then we'll have a font weight, it's going to be 600, and then transition 0.4 seconds as well. Next, we're going to have the hover state, and that's going to be background white, and then color is going to be a dark color, and then the border we're going to have none. Alright, so this is all for the basic styling and the reusable classes. So let's go back to the index.html and we can start our happy coding right now. Okay, so the first thing we want to do is our header section. And yeah, I forgot to mention we will be starting this website from mobile version down to the desktop version actually. Alright, so I'm going to open this in a live server. So I'm using the live server extension right here. Alright, so I'm going to right click and then inspect, and I want to view this on a mobile. Alright, so this is the size we'll be using for our mobile right now. So I'm going to be starting with the mobile version like this. Okay, let me get this out of the way. Now for the header section, we need a header with a class of header as well. And in that, we need a nav, and the nav is going to have a class of nav and then a class of container. Then we're going to have our logo right here. So our logo is just going to be a simple text going nowhere for now. Then we're going to say AirPods Max, Then in that, we're going to have a div with a class of Nav Menu and then an ID of Nav Menu. And in that, we're going to have list items. So for the URL, we'll have a class of nav list, and then for the li, we're going to have a class of nav item, and then in that, we're going to have a link. So the first one is going to be, it's going to have a class as well of nav link, and then it goes nowhere for now. And right here, we're going to say tech specs. So we're going to copy this and duplicate a couple more times. So I'm using the Alt and Shift and then the down arrow on Windows. Alright, so the next one is going to be overview, followed by compare, and then the next is going to be buy now. Now for this buy now class, we're going to have another class of btn on that. So if you remember, we've reused some classes that we created earlier. The first one is the container class, and as you can see, container is right here. So we're already giving it the max width, margin right and margin left. And then the second one right now is this btn class. So for the btn, as you can see, that was the last thing we created in the reusable class right here. So next, I'm going to come out of the URL, out of the list item, and then I'm going to create, I want to do the close nav, so the X that you click on when you want to close the navigation. So for that, I'm going to create a div with a class of nav close and an ID as well of nav close. So for that, we're going to be using our box icon right here. So I'm going to go back. We don't need the fonts of Google anymore, so I'll just close that. I'll come right here, go to box icons itself. Then I'm going to come here and just type X. So we want to use this one right here. So when you click on it, you come to the fonts right here where it says fonts, and then you click on this section to copy, and you can see copied right here. So if I go back and then I paste that right here and I save, then this is what I'm going to get. Okay, we can't really see it right now, but we'll fix that. Alright, so I think we missed something. I want to make our body dark. So I'm going to come here and give it a background of dark color. So already have a variable color for this dark color. So if I should save this and come back here, this is what we have. And now you can see the X that we just imported from the box icons right here. So next, I'm going to go to my index, and what I want to do next is to make the toggle button as well. So outside of the nav menu div, I'm going to create another div with a class of nav toggle, and then an ID as well of nav toggle. And in this nav toggle, we want to import another class of grid, another style of grid from box icon. So I'm going to type in grid, and this is the one, the grid alt is the one I'm going to be using right here. So still font, and click here to copy, come back, and then paste right here. So if I should save this and I go back right now, you can see that one too as well. Alright, so this is all for the header in index.html. So let's go to the style.css and style the header here as well. So for that, we're going to start with the header class that we created. So I'm going to say dot header, and I'm going to give the position to be fixed, and then top is going to be 0, left is going to be 0, and the width is going to be 100% width. Then we're going to have z index excuse me, z index of 999, just something higher, and a background of about 0.5 seconds. Sorry, transition rather. The background is going to be transparent, and transition is going to be 0.5 seconds. Okay, so that's what we have. So next we'll come to the nav. We'll take the nav class we created, and then give it a height of 5 rem, and then display to be flex, and we want justify content to be space between, then align items center, and then transition is going to be 0.5 seconds as well. So let's have a look. So now this is what we have. All right, so the next thing we'll do is to style our logo, nav, and close. So we're going to say .nav logo, not nav, then .nav, if I can type, .nav toggle, and also we'll grab .nav close. So for all this, we want to give a color of white, then a font weight of 600, and then cursor is going to be pointer. And now if I should save and take a look, now this is what we have. So next, I'm going to just grab the nav toggle itself. Toggle. So I'm going to give it a font size of 1.3 rem. So we're going to have this size right now. All right, that is big enough to click on. All right. So right here, we're going to create a media screen. So for the media screen, I'm going to have a max width of 767 pixel, and then in here I'm going to say I'll grab the nav menu, and for the nav menu the position is going to be fixed, and then the background is going to be a dark color, and the top is going to be 0. The left as well is going to be 0. Then we'll have a width of 100%. The padding is going to be 4 rem to the top, 0 to the left and right, and then 3 rem to the bottom. Or let's just make the bottom as well 4 rem. And then so in that case, I think we can just do, yeah, like so. The next thing is transition. We want that to be 0.4 seconds. And then I think I'll just leave it like this for now. Okay, so if I should save this and go back, we might not really see much here, but let me change this to white and go back. Now you see the area we've been working on. All right, so I'll take that back to dark. So the next thing I want to do is the nav. I'm going to grab the nav list. So for the nav list, I'm going to say display flex, and then the flex direction right now is going to be column, and then align everything to the center. Then I want to give a row gap of about 3 rem, like so. So let's have a look. So now this is what we have. All right, so next I'm going to style the links themselves. So for the link, I just want to have the color to be white color, and then font size is going to be 1.3 rem, and for the font weight we'll leave that as 500, and then transition is going to be 0.4 seconds. So now this is how we have them. Next, I'm going to do the nav link hover state. So for the hover state, we just want to set the color to probably RGB. Let me just do white. Then I'll take my cursor down there and then drag this down a little bit to, let me do this manually. So I'll have 204. All right, so with that, if I save and go back, as you can see, when I hover over them, the color changes. And then for the BTN, we already have our BTN class and then the BTN hover states. So if I hover over the BTN as well, as you can see, we have this. Now let's target the close nav. So that X right there, we're going to say nav close, give it a position of absolute, and then the top is going to be 1 rem. The right is also going to be 1.2 rem. And then the font size, okay. So for the font size, we're going to make that 2 rem. And now we have the button right here. All right. So next, I think we have to go to our JavaScript right now. In order to toggle this on and off for this to work, so we're going to be using JavaScript like I said earlier. All right, so for the JavaScript, I already have 2 comments right here. The one is for toggle menu, and then the next is to change the background, so that when we are scrolling down, we can see the effect of this change background header to apply. For now, let's just toggle this, the nav toggle and then the nav close. All right, so for that, I'm going to say const. I'll be grabbing the nav toggle and document dot get element by ID. So I'm going to be grabbing the nav toggle. So after that, I'm going to come and say nav close. I'll be grabbing the nav close as well. Okay, man, that's get element by ID and then nav close. Next, I'll grab the nav menu. That's nav menu. So after grabbing all this, I'm going to come down here and say nav toggle dot add event listener, and then I want to listen for the click event. Next, I'm going to set an arrow function. And I'll say nav menu dot class list dot add, and I want to add a class, and that class we're going to call it the show menu class. So this is to toggle it on, and then to toggle it back off, we're going to use the nav close, and then we're going to remove this show menu class. So if I save this now and I come back here, nothing happens. Why? Because we haven't yet set the class, the show menu class that we just said. So we're going to come here, and for the show menu, so what I'm going to do first is that I'm going to go down to up here in this media query, and I want to set the top to negative 100 pixel, or 100% rather, and then I'm going to come down here, and for the show menu class, I'm going to say, for the show menu class, I'm going to say top, set it to 0, and if I save that right now, and I come down here, and then I click on this, nothing happens. Guys, I discovered that I didn't link the JavaScript right here, so that is why our JavaScript code has not been working all along. So I'm going to be doing that right now, and if I should save this and go back, now as you can see, we can toggle on and off our nav menu, and we can see what we want in the mobile. Okay, so I'm going to come back to this change background header soon, like very soon, but first we need a content. So next we'll go back to our index.html, and we're going to start with the main section. So this time around, we're going to be starting with the hero section, which is in this main section right here. So we're going to say, we're going to create a section with the class of section, and then in that same class, we want to have a class of home. Next, we're going to have a div with a class of container, and then home container, and then we want to have a class of grid as well. If you remember, we already have a grid reusable CSS class in this style, the CSS. So in that container, we want to have another div with a class of home image, home img, and then that home img, I'm going to have our home img. So go to the images, and for the images, you're looking for hero airport.png. So outside of the home img div, we're going to have the home data. So you div with a class of home data, and in that home data, we'll have a span with a class of, let's do home subtitle, and then in the subtitle we're going to have introducing. Next we'll have our h1 with a class of home title, and the home title will have AirPods max, if I can type. Then we're going to have the home description, so it's going to be in a p tag, call it home description, and in the home description I'm just going to copy what we have from the original design down here. So next we're going to have two sets of buttons. So in that, we're going to wrap them in a div called buttons, and for that we're going to have an a tag with a class of btn-b, which was one of the classes we created in CSS, and then we're going to have tech as well. So right here it's gonna go nowhere, and then we're gonna have text specs, and next we're gonna have another anchor tag. Then it's gonna have a class of btn this time, and then another class of buy. This goes nowhere as well. Then we're gonna say buy now. Okay, so this is all for the home section in HTML. So next we're going to jump down to CSS, and for that we'll come down to our hero section where we've already commented out. And in the hero section, in this style, what we want to do is give the home a height of about let's do 100 view height for now, and then we'll say we'll grab our home image and give it a width of 350 pixel. So if I should save that and then check, this is what we have. Here is our text and all. So I'll go back, and then for the image I'm still gonna give it an overflow of hidden, and then z index, we want to make that -1, so that whatever content we have could come on it, because it's going to be position absolute soon. So right here I'm going to come down and say home image and then img. So we're targeting the image in that div. We're going to give it a max width of 450 pixel, and then give it a transform, translate. As a matter of fact, let's do position absolute first, and then we're going to do the top of 0 and then the left 0. And now we're going to transform of translate x to -50%. So we want that in the dead center. So if I should save this and go back, this is what we have, not quite what we really want. So I'm going to go back. Oh, sorry, this left is supposed to be 50%, not 0. So if I save that, now this is what we have and what we want. Okay, so moving forward, let's style the data. So next I'm going to come down here and say home data, and for the home data I'll have a margin top of 4 rem, and next I'm going to style the home subtitle. And for that, I'm going to just give it a font size of 1.125 rem. Next, I'm going to be styling the home title itself. So I'm going to say home title. And for the home title, I'm going to have a font size of 3.1 rem. Next, the home description. For that, I'm going to give that a margin top of probably 1 rem, and then a line height of 2 rem. Then I'm going to give the color, I'll just copy this RGB I have here. So I'll paste that over here. So it's white but with a little decreased opacity. Then if I should save this and go back, this is what we have right now. So next we're going to style the buttons. As you can see, they are not placed correctly. So for the buttons, I'm going to grab the main div for buttons with the S, and then see margin top of 3 rem. And then for the tech, because if I should save this and go back, As you can see, the main button already carries the styling of these. So now we want to style this one right here. So what we can say is, because we already gave it a class of tech, so now we're just going to come here and grab the tech, and for the tech we'll say margin right of 0.7 rem so that we can give some space right here. And I think I should also add should I? I'm thinking of adding the class of btn to this. I think there's something wrong. btn b is supposed to carry this class, but it's not. So let me see what is wrong somewhere. So if I should go up and check the btn b that we have, I think I made a mistake there. Okay, so I don't have a border radius on it, so I'm just going to copy this and then paste it somewhere around here. So if I just save that, let's go to our main. Yep. And then if I should come back, right, so this is what we have. Okay, so pretty cool, right? So now I think we are done with this part right here. Okay, so next we're going to go back to our index.html, and this time we'll be targeting the design part. So I'm going to come down here, and for the design, all right, let's create a section with a class of section, and then a class of design as well. So we're going to create a div with the class of container to contain everything, and then design container. And then we're going to create another div. We'll call that give it a class of left column, and outside that we're going to create another div, and then we'll give this one a class of right column. So in the left column we're going to have a span with a class of design subtitle, and in that we're going to say design. And next we're going to have an h3 with a class of design title, and design title is going to have, I'll just copy that over real quick. Okay, like so. Next, for the right column, we only have some bunch of text there, so I'm just going to copy that over as well. So it's going to be in a p tag, and the p tag is having a class of design description, and then all this. So if I save this and come back here, now this is what we have. All right, so next I'm going to go back to style.css right here, and in this design part we're going to say design. We're going to give that a background of white color, and then a margin top. Should I do margin top for now? Okay, let's leave the margin top for now. And if we check on it, this is what we should see right now. All right. Okay. Next, I'm going to go down here and then say design subtitle. And for the subtitle, we want the font size to be 1.2 rem, and then the color is going to be a dark color, and then the font weight, we're going to make that 500. So save and go back. So this is what we have. Next, we'll be styling our design title. So I'm going to come here and say design title, And for the title, I want to give it a font size of 3 rem, and then a color of dark color, and then line height of probably 100%, and then margin top of 1 rem, I guess. So let's see how this looks like. Okay, so this is much better. Next, the design description. Design description. For the description, I'm going to have a color of dark color as well. Dark color. And then font size of 1.25 rem. And then a margin top of 2 rem. Okay, so now this is what we have in this section, and everything is working fine. Okay, so the next one is the feature, I guess. Let's see. All right, so for the feature section, what we can do is first say section with a class of section, and then a class of features. And in that section, we're going to have a div with a class of container and another class of feature container, and then another class of grid. And in that class, we're going to have a class of features -img. And okay, next we're going to say img, and the source is going to be asset images, and we're looking for the hero black. So in that same image class, the features image div, we're going to have our tooltip, like hotspot tooltip. So for the hotspots, what we can do is make a div with a class of hotspot tooltip. And in that hotspot, we're going to have some list items. So say UL with a class of tooltip list, I guess. And in that, we're going to have the list item, and that's going to be, it's going to carry a class of tooltip item, and then another class of tooltip item 1, tooltip item 1. And in that class we'll have, and in that list item, we're going to have a div with a class of tooltip content, tooltip content, and in that we'll have a p tag. So I'll just copy this over and paste that right here. So we have a p with some text, and then we make a span in between some of the text. All right, so for that, I'm going to copy the list item a couple times, about 3 times, I guess. So 1, 2, 3. And so for the second one, we'll give that 2, tooltip item 2, and we're going to copy the content, paste that, and the next one, item 3, the content as well, and then the last one, that's going to be item 4, and then the content as well. Okay. All right, so if I should go back now, this is what we have. So these are all the content right here. Alright, so I think here is a good time to go back to our header and add the other background header class that we have, and then the background header comment that we had in JavaScript part. So we're going to do that real quick, because if I'm right here, as you can see, the text disappears and the toggle menu as well. They both disappear because the background here is white. So I'm going to go back to the JavaScript, and then in the JavaScript, I'll come down here and I'll create a function, and I'll call that function scroll header, and then I'm going to create some variable here. So const header will equal to document dot query selector, and then I'll be selecting the header. Next, I'm going to say if this dot scroll y is greater or equal to 50 pixel, what do I want? I want the header dot class list. We're adding a class list, a class of scroll header. Otherwise, header dot class list dot remove the class of scroll header. And let's not forget to call out window dot add event listener. I want to listen for the scroll event and then scroll header. Alright, so if I should save this and go back to right here, as you can see, nothing happens, and that is because we made up a class right here called scroll header, but we don't have it in our main code right there. So what I'm going to do is come back to style, and then I'll go back up where we have our nav, our header, and just right after this show menu, I'm going to create a class of scroll header, and in this scroll header we'll have a background. The background is going to be a dark color, and if I should save this and come back, as you can see, the moment I start scrolling, now it is transparent, but the moment I scroll, as you can see, there's this dark color that comes up. But then the reason why I made this nav menu 5 rem instead of probably 4 rem, I know 5 rem is too much, is because I want to give some transition when we start scrolling down. So for that, I'm going to come back here, and then I'm going to copy this, paste it here, and then say .nav. So I'm targeting the nav, and then the height, I want to make that 4 rem. So we already gave our nav we've given our nav a transition of 5 seconds, so it's going to be smooth. But if I take off this transition now, I comment it out, and then I come back and watch what happens. So you see that it's just jumping from 5 rem. As soon as I start scrolling, the nav reduces in size, but then it just jumps. So but if I should uncomment out this and save it, now if I scroll down, you can see how smoothly it's reduced the size. So very, very smooth. Alright, that's some awesome stuff right there. So now if we are around here, as you can see, everything works just fine. Alright, so let's go back to the tooltip and hotspots we've been doing. So now in if I should go back to our style and then go down, so in the features section, so I'm going to say that features want to give this a background as well of white color, and the image features img will give that a position of relative, and then we want the feature img itself. Oh, as I was about typing this out, I remember that we are not even done with our feature section. We only did the tooltip, so I'm going to be coming back right here, and then right after the right after the features image class, the features image div, we're going to create a div with a class of features data, and then a class of grid, and in that class we want to have a div with a class of feature, and then in that div we want to have an image, and the source is going to be from our asset, of course, and right here we want the chip. So I'm trying to create this section right here, the section you see right here. So that's what I'm doing right now. So in this image, after the image rather, I'm going to come down and create an h4 with a class of features. Let's do feature title, and the title, I'm just going to copy what I have right here, and then afterwards I'm going to be having a p with a class of features and the details. So the paragraph, I'm going to copy it right here. So we have a paragraph with the class of feature details, and this is details inside of it. Alright, so this is what we have, and now we're going to copy this a couple more times. So in order not to waste time, I'm just going to grab all these from my previous code. So like so. So right here, I'm going to paste that. So basically what we have is the same exact thing I just did right here with this chip. So we have the image, which is chip, the title, and then the paragraph, which is the feature details. We have the same thing right here, the image, the title, the paragraph. Same thing as well, the image, the title, the paragraph, and just like that for the three. So if I save this and then I come back right here, as you can see, we have those images and then all the details right there. So one for audio technology, sensor, microphone, and then controls. Alright, so we're going to go back right now to our style, and then what I want to do is for the image, for the feature images, which are this feature, and then we're targeting the image. So we're going to set the width to something like 25 pixel, and if I save this and go back right now, so as you can see, all these are set. Alright, so next what I can do is for the tooltip, for this tooltip, I'm going to say I'll drag it up, tooltip item. So for the item, I want to give this position of relative, and then the width, we're going to make that 15 pixel, and then the height is going to also have 15 pixel. Background is going to be a white color, but for now we won't be able to see that, so let's do a blue color. so that we can see that wherever it is right now. So we have a margin of 20 pixel and then 0. We have a transition of 0.4 seconds. We have a border radius of 50%, so to make it 100% round. And then we have our cursor of pointer. And then if I save this and we'll go back, and yeah, we'll see all this right here. So these are the list we just made, the circles. All right, so next I'm going to go for the after. So for this after, I'm going to say tooltip item, and then after. So I'm going to say content. The content is going to be empty as usual, and then the position is going to be absolute, not inherit but absolute. And then we're going to have the top set to 0 and the left set to 0, and then we're going to have the height, give it a height of 100%, and then a width as well of 100%. Then we'll have a border radius of 50%, and I'm going to have a background of, let's still give it a blue color. So next, you won't see what I just did right now. It's on top of this now, but let me show you. So next, I want to create animation, because we want that kind of pulse effect, or what's it called, that you see. Let me go to the original site. So this effect that you see right here, so that's what we are trying to achieve. All right, so I'm going to come back, and I'm going to create a keyframe. So keyframes, and then I'm going to give it a title of pulse effect. And for this effect, I'm going to say from 0%, I want a transform of scale, and then I'm scaling it 0.5 rather, and then a opacity, I'm going to make that 1. Next, 100%. So at 100%, I want to make the transform to be scale 2.5, and then opacity is going to be 0, and I'll save that. So right now nothing happens, but that's because I haven't added effects in this section. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to say animation, clear out all this animation. Okay, for the animation, I'm going to say pulse effect. That's our animation. I want it to happen in 1 second, and then ease in, out, and it's also going to be infinite. So it just keeps going and going non-stop. So if I save this and come back, as you can see, we have that effect right here with the blue stuff. All right, so let's see how we can arrange them onto this part. Okay, so next, what we can do is say we'll come outside keyframe, and we'll say tooltip. This time we want to grab the content. So for the content, we're going to say position. The position is going to be absolute, and then for the bottom, we want to set that to 0. Bottom is going to be 0. Absolute, we're going to have. Alright, so left is going to be 30 pixel, and then the width, for the width, we're going to set that to 200 pixel for now. And then background, for the background, we're going to use the dark color, not background attachment, just background. So that color, and then we'll give it some padding, 20 pixel all around, and visibility is going to be hidden, but for now we'll comment that out. Opacity as well is going to be 0, and then transition is going to be 0.5 seconds. So but for now, let's comment this out, and then this as well. So if I save this is what we have. So for each of those lists right here, we have 4 different stuff. All right, so I'm going to uncomment this part, and then I'll come down here and I'll grab, okay, let me still leave them like so. Let me comment them out. So I'll come down and I'll say tooltip content. I want to grab the P and then the span inside the paragraph. So I just want to make all of them font weight of bold. So if I should save this and go back, as you can see, some of the text there that we created that span around them are bold right here. So next, for the hover, so I'm going to say tooltip item, and then the hover, tooltip content. So now for when we hover over this stuff, all this blue stuff, when we hover over them, that's when we want to see all these things shows up. So then I'm going to make sure these ones are uncommented, and then come back here, say visibility should be visible, and then opacity should be 1. So if I save these and then I go back, you don't see anything, but as soon as I hover over this, you get that. If I hover over this as well, you get this, and then I hover over this, and as you can see, there are different content inside each and every one of them, not the same content. All right, so now let's see how we can position this right here. Okay, so for the first tooltip, so if you remember, we created tooltip item 1, tooltip item 2, down to item 4. So we're going to come to tooltip for the item 1. We want to say position this absolute, and then the top, we want to make that 3.2 rem, so 9.75 rem, and yep. So if I'll come down here, and then I want to say tooltip item 1, and then tooltip content. So I'll come down, I'll say left, it's going to be 50%, transform, translate, X is going to be negative 50%, and then the bottom is going to be 30 pixel, like so. So if I should come back here and then I look up, as you can see, we have this right here, and then if I hover over this, as you can see, it is coming from the top, not from the left like these ones, from the right rather, like these ones do. All right, so I'm going to go back. We still have 3 more to go, so I'll come back here, I'll go down. So basically we're going to do almost the same thing for everything. So what I can do is copy all this, and then go Shift and Alt, arrow down, so that I can copy that, and then I'm just going to change this to this is going to be 2, and the value is going to be 7.5 rem to the top, and then the left is going to be 9.75, like so. And then for this part, we're going to have exactly the same thing, but change this to 2 as well. So if I save this now and I go back, we have these two, and it's also coming from the top like so. All right, so 2 more to go. So I'm just going to copy this again and then again. So we have copied that twice, and I'm going to split them up. So I'm going to make this 3 and 3. So for the top value of this number 3, we're going to make that 11.6. Every other thing will remain the same. And then for the fourth one, this is going to be 4 and 4. So the top value is going to be I think 18 rem, right? I think it should be 18 rem, and every other thing is going to remain like that. So let's take a look. All right, so if I hover over this, we have the content coming like so. Same thing with this, same thing with this, and then same thing with this. So guys, this is how we're able to create this hotspot tooltip right here. And now all I need to do is change the color from blue to white. So to do that, I'm going to come down here. I want to click on this. So I double clicked on this blue, and so that I can highlight the next one. Since I'm using VS Code, I can just do Command D and it will automatically highlight both top and bottom. So I can just set that to white, and if I save and go back, now everything is set to white. So we still have everything working as expected. All right, so we're done with that part. The next thing we want to do, guys, is to see how we can solve this part right here. So now we have all the content, but they are all in white color. So what we can do is come back here. So after the tooltip, the fourth one, we're going to target let's see. Okay, so next we're going to target the features data. I will come down. We want to give that padding right of 3 rem. So the data has a padding right of 3 rem, and then we want the features feature title. So for the title, we want to have a font size of 1 rem. The color is going to be a dark color, not dark cyan, dark color. And then the font weight is 600. And margin top, we're going to make that 0.4 rem. And then for our feature details, once the font size, for the font size, it's going to be 0.8 rem. The color, we're going to make the color text color. We haven't used that variable since. So margin top is going to be 0.4 rem as well. Next, for the feature, so we're going to come down and see margin top is going to be 1.5 rem. And if I save this and then I go back to take a look, now this is what we have. So we are officially done with this part right now. All right, so the next thing is to fix this part. Let me open this up in a mobile view. So this is the original site. All right, so we are done with this part. So the next part is the case. So we're going to fix these 2 parts right here. All right, so guys, the next thing we should do is come to our index. So inside the index, we want to go to the next comment, which is the case section. So for the case section, as usual, we create a section, not section with a class of section, and then a class of case. So for this, we'll create we'll create another div of container, and then in that container we'll have case container, And yeah, in that container, we want to have a div with a class of case1, and in case1 we want to have a div with a class of case1 data, and then another class of grid. So in that class we want to have h3 with a class of case title, and in that title I want to, let me just copy what I have and paste. So I'm going to copy this, come over here and paste. So next we'll have the button with the a tag. It goes nowhere, and it's going to have a class, I guess, a class of btn. So I have another class of by, another class of case by, and in that we'll have by now, like so. So if I should save this and then I come back here, what you can see is this right now. All right. So the next thing I want to do is let's see. Okay, so I'm going to create another div with a class of case img1, and then in that I'm going to create an image. So I'll be selecting our case image, so, and it's called case.png. So if I save this and go back, we have this right now. All right, so next I'm going to come out of the case data one, of this case one rather, and then just after that we'll have our case 2, class of case 2, and in the case 2 we want to have another class of case 2 data, and then another class of grid, and in that class we want to have a div without any class, and then we are going to put in our h3 and then our button again. So I'm just going to copy that over. So we have the h3 and then the button. So but if you see, we put this in a div. That is what we are supposed to do here as well, but then I forgot. So I'm going to come here and create a div, and then I'm going to grab this two, and then I'll hold the alt and then the up arrow. So only one left. So if I save this and come back here, as you can see now, this is what we have. So but right now we don't have our image here. So outside this div, I'm going to make another div, case img2, and in that img, the source is going to be our images, asset images, and then I'm going to be using the full case for this. So if I should save now and go back, this is what we have. All right, so take a look that this image is bigger than this, so we're going to fix this in CSS. All right, so I'm going to come back to the style.css, and in the style.css I'm going to go to our case section right here, and in this case section, what I want to do first is grab the case title. For the title, we're going to have a font size of 2.9 rem. The line height is going to be 100%, and then the margin bottom, we'll give that 3 rem, like so. And yeah, so if we take a look now, this is what we have and this is what we have. So next I'm going to come down and say case img1. So because it's bigger than the second case, I want to give it a width of 85% and then a margin of 0 auto. And if I save this and go back, now we have this size and this size. So this is pretty much better than it was before. So guys, we've accomplished this section now. Then the next section is our second to the last section, which is the products right here. The last section is just the footer, so we're almost done. So now I'm going to go back to our code, and I'm going to go to the index.html. So this is a bit tricky, so I'll make sure I explain it as best as I can. So for the product, as usual, I'll create a section with a class of section and then a class of products, right? So after that, we'll create another class of container, and then a div with a class of container and also a class of product container. So inside that, we'll have our h3 with a class of product title. So I'm just going to copy that in here. So we have h3, it has a class of product title, and then this is what is inside. So after the h3, so after the h3, we'll have a div with a class of all products like that, and then we're going to give another class of grade. So inside that same class, we'll have a div with a class of products card. Is it products card? Okay. So next in the class, we'll have another div with a class of product content, and then in product content, we're going to have an image, and the image is going to have, first let's select the image. So the first image is our blue color, and then it's going to have a class of product img. So the image has a class of product img. So if I save that and then I go back, and this is what we have. So next, after the image, I'm going to create an h5 with a class of color name. So the color name for this is going to be blue, and then after that we'll have a button, and it's going to have a class of button, and then another class of dflex, and then another class of product button, and also I think that's all product button. So in this button, we're going to drag in a cat from our box icon. So I'm going to come back here, go to box icon, and then I want to search for cat. So I think I'll be using this one right here. So I'm going to click on it in the font tab. I'll just click here to copy, come back here, and then I'll go back here and I'll paste that right in. And also I'll add another class of button icon. So if I should save this and go back here, we have the cat icon right here in the button, and then the blue text right there. Alright, so this is all for this section. So the next product, the next colors, I'm just going to copy that in so I don't bore us with typing. So I'm going to copy every other color that we have, paste that right in. So what I need is pretty much the same thing that we have here. So it's more like me copying this whole product card that we created. I created a blue, so just like copying the product card from this product card down here, I copy, and then and then I started pasting. As you can see, this also have products card, and everything inside is the same, and everything inside is all the same. There's image. This one is gray color, it has gray. This one is green color, it has green. This is the pink color, it has title of pink, and then the silver has title of silver. So next, there is one last thing that we need to do. So after this silver color from the products card, I'm going to come down. There is one more that we need. So now I'm going to say div. It's going to have same products card, and then it's going to have products card last, and yeah, after that I'm going to create another div with a class of product content, and then I'm gonna have a paragraph with a class of choose, and in this choose I'm just going to copy what we have in there. So it says choose the color of your choice, so I'm going to paste that right in. Alright, so this is all for the HTML part. So next we're going to go to the style.css, and yeah, so what we can do here is a product title. So for the product title, we're going to have a font size of 3 rem, and then line height of 100%, and then we'll have a margin bottom of 3 rem. Next, we're going to have all products. So for the all products, we'll say grid template columns. It's going to be repeat 2 and 1 fr. Alright, so 1 fraction, and then we're going to have a gap of 5 rem and 1.5 rem. Next we have a padding top, if I'm not mistaken. Padding top is going to be 3 rem for all products. So next I'm going to drag out the product card, and for the card we have a position of relative. The height is going to be 130 pixel. The background is going to be a container dark color, and then the padding, we're going to make the padding 0.75 rem, and border radius is going to be 0.5 rem as well. Then we'll have a display of grid. So if I save this, I think we already have, hold on. Okay, I would have just added grid in all this stuff instead, but I'm doing it manually here, so it's fine. Alright, so grid, and yeah, for the image, product img. So for product img, I'm going to say the width is going to be 170 pixel, and then we'll have position of absolute, absolute, and then left is going to be 50%, and then translate x is going to be -50%, like so. Then I'm going to have margin right of auto, and then margin left of auto. Then top is going to be -4 rem, like so. Next, I'm going to come down here and say product content. For the content, I'm going to make align self That's gonna be flex, and on the color name, I hope I have the right class. The color name, the font size is gonna be 1 rem. The font weight is gonna be 500, and the position rather also going to be absolute. I want to have a left of 1 rem. The bottom is going to be 1.2 rem. And I don't think I need this, so I'm just going to comment that out for now. Alright, so after the name, I'm going to come up and drag in the button. So product button. So for the button, position is also going to be absolute, and right is going to be 1 rem. Then bottom is going to be 0.8 rem, like so. So for the padding, we're going to have 0.5 rem, and then the border radius, we're going to have 0.35 rem, like so. Next, for the button itself, I'm going to say display is going to be inline block, and the background is going to be our blue color, and then the color is going to be a white color, not column, color. Next, border radius is going to be 0.5 rem. We'll have a transition of 0.3 seconds, or let's do 0.4 seconds. So now we'll go to the hover, that's button hover. So in the hover state, we just want the background to change color to our alt blue color. So if I save this and I go back, now this is what we have. So as you can see, if I hover over this, the color changes like so. Alright, so now we have to deal with this section right here. If you check the original version, this is what we have, but right now this is what we see. So we're going to go back, and first I might just make the button icon font size. The size is going to be 1.2 rem, and let's take a look. Alright, so now it's much better. Next, I'm going to come back, and for the deflex, for the flex, display is going to be inline flex, and then the align items, not align self items, is going to be center, and then column gap, I want to make that 0.75 rem, like so. Column gap 75 rem. So next, I want to grab the product card, the last. So this is for this one right here. So that for the last, I'm going to say position relative, and then the height is going to be 130 pixel, and then the background is going to be transparent. Then we'll have our padding of probably 75 as well, 0.75 rather. And then we'll have our border radius set to 0. So we are just overriding the current styling that is there. And then we want the border itself, the border itself to have a 1 pixel solid, and then the color of white color. And now the content, so say product content, product content, and we want to grab the last child. So in the last child, we'll say align self to the center. So now this is what we have. So next, I'm going to grab the font size. So we give it a class of choose, and then I'm going to say font size. That's going to be 1.1 rem. And then the line height, we'll make the line height 100%, like so. And guys, this is how we made this happen. So finally, we are also officially done with the product section. So next, we're going to be sorting out the footer area right here. All right, for the footer, we're going to go back to our index.html, and we don't really have much right there. So I'm going to come down. I'm going to come down like so, and then outside of this main, as you can see, the comment is outside of the main because we don't need that. So we'll say footer, and we'll give it a class of footer as well, and then another class of section. And then we want to give a container dot footer container again, and then this time we'll be using the flex. So then I want to do div with the class of footer left core, and then another class of flex. Then we want to have our logo, so we're going to say a with a class of logo, and it's going nowhere. I'm just going to have AirPods Max, like so. Then we'll have a span. I'm just going to copy this in. So we just have a span with a class of copyright, and then here's the copyright. So the next thing we're going to do is come down. I think I'll just make this Apple Ink. Designed by Just Perfect, like so. So that's my channel, my YouTube channel. So in case you want to subscribe, and please, if you like this video so far, give it a thumbs up. Thank you. So next, I'm going to come down after this div, like so. I'll create the right column div. So I'm going to say div with a class of footer right col, and then another class of flex as well. So right there, we're going to create two buttons, so with an anchor link. So we're going to say a with a class of terms. Sorry, it's not going to be button, it's a text with link. So a class of terms, and then inside this a, rather inside the a, you want to have a span, and the span is going to have that class of terms. So if I do this, this is what we have. So right in there, I'm going to just do the this, and I'll say terms of use. Next, we're going to create another anchor tag, anchor link, and then have a span inside as well, and then a class of country. So it's gonna go nowhere as well. And here I want to say Canada. If I can type. Next, we'll go to our CSS. So we're done with the HTML. So let's go to the CSS styling, and right here in the footer, we want to grab our footer container. So I'm just going to say .footer-container, and for this container, we want to have a margin top of 3 rem. We want to have a border top. The border top is going to be 2 pixels solid, and then we'll have this color. I'm just going to write it out: 1.8, 1A, 1B, like so. And then padding top is going to be 2 rem, just like that. Next, we're going to have our footer-container, and also along the way, grab our footer left core. Just like that, we're going to add a flex, direction of column, and then text align. So text align. Text align is going to be center. Jesus. Gap is going to be, what am I doing? So the gap is going to be 1 rem, like so. Next, I'm going to grab the footer right core. So for the right column, I'm going to have text align, and that's going to be center. Gap is going to be 1 rem, and then justify content is going to be center as well. So the next thing I want to grab is the copyright, also the terms, and then lastly the country. So for these 3, we're going to have a color of 8E, 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 and then transition is going to be 0.4 seconds, because we're going to add overstate on that. Let's even do that right now. So for this, we'll say terms hover. So okay, let's grab the second one along. So this is country hover, and then we'll have color. The color is going to be white color, like so. And yeah, I think this is all for this. So this is the original site, and if you check, we have Apple Inc. all rights reserved. So this is the original site, but right here is the one we just did, which is Apple Inc. designed by Just Perfect. All right, so we have a hover effect on these buttons. All right, guys, so now we are officially done with this section, this responsiveness, the mobile first view. We are already done. So we're moving to the media queries, and the first one we want to target is for the small devices. So if we go anything below, watch, as you can see, we are having this cut out. We're having some text cut out, which is not what we really want. So we're going to create, we already have media queries set for this. So next, we're just going to fill in the details. So first, for the container, I think 1.5 rem left and right is much. So we're going to have a margin left of 1 rem instead, and then margin right of 1 rem as well. So now we have just little padding to the left and right. So next we'll target the home subtitle, I guess. So for the home subtitle, we want to have a font size of 1 rem, and then we'll target the home title, we'll target the design title, and then we'll target the product title as well. Product title. For this tree, we want to give a font size of 2.7 rem. So if I should save and go back, now I can see that these are much better. So next we'll come back, and then we'll say for the buttons, just give the buttons a display of inline flex, and that should sort out this for us. So next we're going to come back, and for the design description, we're going to have font size of 1.125 rem. Next, let me save that and see what we have. No, I think I should just do 1.15 rem instead for this section. I don't like the way this is, so we're going to fix that. I think I should probably do that right now. So for the home description, a padding to the right, and I'll make that SC 50 pixel. If I save, alright, I think that is much better in my opinion. Okay, we can even make that 40. Yeah, it is better like so. Alright, so moving forward, after the description, let's do the design subtitle, because I think it's really big. So for now, I'm going to say font size is going to be 1.1 rem, and now the design subtitle should be smaller. So next we're going to fix the tooltip. So if you check now, they are out of place, so we're going to fix all that right now. I'm going to grab all the tooltip 1, 2, 3 and 4. Tooltip 1, tooltip 2, tooltip 3, and tooltip 4. So I'm gonna do this, and if I save the wood, I have Predia, so Predia will help me format them well. So I'm gonna go left, say left is going to be 8.5 rem, like so. Alright, so next I'm gonna say tooltip 1. For the 1, I want the top to be 2.5 rem, like so. So it is here. Alright, now I think this is much, so I'm just gonna say 7. Left is 9 rather. So I'm gonna get this out. 9.1. I don't know why the value changed, but it's actually very okay. Alright, so this is much better, and I'm just going to position this well. We could do 3. Alright, next we are going to target the next one. So 1, 2, 3. So we're going to have 2. 3, and 4. So let's space those out so we can have a nice looking code. Okay, now I know the reason. So I haven't changed these values yet, so that is why. So I can take this off. Okay, my bad. So I'm gonna say 9 rem to this. 9 rem doesn't work, so I'll do 12, 11. All right, 11 is perfect. And right here, I'm going to say 16. Let's see, 17. All right. So now we have all this in place and they are working perfectly well. And every other thing as well works just fine. Like so. Okay, so next we're going to move down to, if this gets smaller, I think I want to make this 1 item each. Should I? Is there any screen that can be smaller than this? I really don't think so, but well, I'm just going to do that anyway. Inside the same smaller device, I'm going to first, let me select product title. So the product title is going to be 2.5. Sorry, font size going to be 2.5 rem. So that is talking about this title right here. So next, I'm going to come down and I'll target all products. So give it grid template columns, 142 pixel. Justify content is going to be center. So now we have 1 each, and if we should go up like so, we have 2. All right. Okay. Next, I'll come down to the next screen, which is for the medium device. And for this, we want to target the home container, not home description, home container. And for the container, I want to make grid template columns. It's going to be 1 FR and then 100 pixel, like so. So now if we take a look, go back to the very top, and our device is 576. So at 576, this is the kind of rubbish that we have currently. So we're going to go down here and I want to target the home image. So in my case, I want the image to come over to the right and this data or the text to come to the right, to the left. So how I can achieve that is by targeting the home image, and then I'm going to say order. The order is going to be 1. So if I save this and come back, as you can see, the text are here, the image is on the left, on the right. What am I saying? The image is on the right while the text are on the left. So I'm going to target the home img and then img itself, the image itself. So we're going to give it a top of -7 rem, and then the left is going to take initial, yeah, and then transform. The transform is going to be on set, and the right is going to be -5.5 rem, and then the width, I want to set the width to, let's say, 450 pixel, right? And the max width, not mean but max. So for that, I'm going to set that to 600 pixel, and then the top is going to be 0. Oh, what am I doing? Okay, let me see. Okay, so I don't need this. Alright, so I'm going to take this off because the top has to be 0, like so. 576. Alright, so we have the same result in the original version and then in this new version I'm creating. Okay, so next I'm going to come down here and then I want to target the design title. So for the design title, I'll add a padding right of 200 pixels. Also, I need that for the product title. So for design title and product title, I want the padding right. This is the design title. And then this is the product title. Where is it? This product title. So if I should take off this, as you can see, it spans across and to me it's not really nice. So I'll make that go back like so. So next, for the tooltip content, so the tooltip content, I want to make the width, not really the width. So the width is going to be 240 pixels. Initially it was 200 pixels, but now it's going to be 240. And for the tooltip, item 1, I'm going to grab that. Item 2, I'm going to grab that. Item 3, and then item 4, like so. And then what I can say is the left, for now let's say 16 rem, and see what we get. Okay, so that is in the center, but then all the other items are scattered. So I'm going to come down here and then I can say okay, I can do alright, so I'm just going to say for item 1, the top, let's make the top 6 rem and see what that looks like. Okay, I think it's better. Then we're going to copy this few more times, 1, 2, 3. Go. And then let's not make any mistake this time. Okay, so for the fourth, for this is going to be let's do 13 and let's see. Alright, 13 is fine. And next I'm going to set this one to, okay, you know what, in the original version, if I come down here, if I should hover over this, you see it comes from the top, and if I hover over this, it comes from the left, and likewise this one from the right, and then this all the way from the bottom. So what we can do now is after this item 2, we want to come down again and do item 2, and then tooltip content, then after the tooltip content, I'm going to say left. The left is going to be onset, then right is also going to be 170 %. I'm doing %, and then transform is going to be onset as well. And then the bottom, for the bottom, I'm going to do -100 pixel. Let's do pixel. So if I should check this out now on the main site, so I wanted to note that the original one, I just used AirPods Max up here for document title, but the one we are doing currently, the tutorial, is Apple AirPods Max. So you know which one is the right one, which one is the wrong one. So now we have this to the top, and then if I hover over this, it's coming from the left side. All right, so where are the other contents? I'm going to come back here, and for the 3, I'm going to set this to about, let's do 20 rem and see what we get. All right, that's about right. So for this one, as you can see, it's coming from the top right now. It's coming from the top right now, so we want it to come from the right instead. So I'm going to copy all this over, make some room, paste that there, and then change this to 3. So for this, the left is going to be 170 instead of onset. As a matter of fact, what I can do is delete this and make this one left, and then the bottom is going to be 85 pixel. So if I save this and come back, so as soon as I hover over this, you can see it comes from the right. Next, we're going to make the cup, the one for this cup as well. So for this part, I'm going to say 31 rem. If I save that, it should be right here, but as you can see, the content is also coming from the top. So let's fix that. So we're going to copy this one. I think it's already copied. I'll just paste. All right, so I'll change that to 4, and then the value left is going to be, I'll delete this. So the left is going to be 50%, I think. Transform on set, and then this, the bottom is going to be, I think I'll leave it at 200. And then this part, I think I might just do translate x negative 50%. So it will be in the dead center, like so. All right. So guys, we've achieved everything right here. Now for the feature data, which are these ones right here, what I want to do is I'll first grab the feature data, and then I'll say grid template columns. I'm going to do repeat 2, and it's going to be 1 FR. And then align items is going to be center, like so. So now this is what we have. I can just even get this off here for now. Let me make gap here and 2 rem, and then margin bottom is going to be 3 rem as well. So all right, so this is much better, but I think the margin bottom is much. So I'll probably make that 2 rem or even 1 rem. As a matter of fact, I think I might get this off completely, since we already have this 2 rem gap, so it should cover for both left and right. Yeah. All right, so next we're going to target the case. So for the case, we need the case 1. Case 1, 1 data. I'd rather make that a class, and then case 2 data. So now I'm going to say grid template columns, repeat 2 and 1 FR, and then I want to align this item. As a matter of fact, let me leave this for now, so I'll show you. Then if I come back here, as you can see, this is aligned, but this is not. So let's figure out what went wrong. So I have case 1 data and I have case 2 data. So I'm going to check our index.html I'll go to the case. Oh, okay, my bad. I think I see the issue. So I'm going to cut this from here. It's supposed to be inside the case 1 data and then grid. So because it is outside, that's why it's not working. So if I save this now and then I come back, yeah. All right, so it should appear like this right now. Then, okay. So if I come back to the style now, as you can see, this is actually fine side by side, but for this we want it to be in the reverse order. So this image is supposed to come to the left while the text goes to the right. So we can achieve that, but first let's fix the title. As you can see, the title here is too big, and I always want the Apple AirPods Max to be on one line. I don't like it being on 2 different lines. So what I can do is I'll say case title. For the title, I'm going to give it a font size of 2.3 rem, like so, and that should fix it. As you can see, this is on a single line. So, but if you look closely, these are not positioned to the center. So this image is kind of down and this is kind of up. So I want them to be positioned in the center. Likewise, this one as well. So I'm going to come back here and I want to see align items. I'm going to make that center. So now if I go back, as you can see, it is in the dead center like that. So this is much more better. So now let's see how we can move this from here down here. So basically we're just going to do what we did to this section where we moved the image from left to right and then the text from right to left. So that's what we're going to do here as well. So now what I can do is come back and then select the case image, this time to be 2. I'm going to say order. This time it's going to be -1. And if I save this and come back, as you can see for yourself, this is on the left, the text is on the right. All right, guys, so awesome stuff. Now let's fix this part. Yeah, let's fix this. So as you can see, it's spanning all the way across, which is not really nice. So now I'm going to come here and I'm going to say, I'll call out the all product and then I'll do grid template columns. I want to repeat 3 and then 1FR, and then I want to justify everything to the center. So now if I save and come back, we have 3 items right now, each on each row. Okay, that is for the medium screen size. Now for the large screen, now we're going to do a couple things here. So first of all, let me take this. We have 767 pixels, so let me just make this 767. And right out of the box, you can see that this is already rubbish. It's completely shattered and scattered. So what we can do is fix this. So for this side, the first thing I want to do though is grab the body, and for this body we want to make a margin of 0, and then next I want to grab the section. For this section I want to make padding. The padding is going to be 6 rem and then 0 2 rem, and yeah. So next I want to make nav. So this nav, now we're going to make the height, set it to 6.5 rem. That's a lot, but for the sake of the transition and then the shrinking of the menu and all, so we're going to use that for now. So now I'm going to come back, and then in the logo I want to increase the size a bit. So I'm going to say font size, and that's going to be 1.3 rem, just a tad bit. So I'm going to come down here, say nav list. So for the nav list, flex direction, the flex direction is going to be row, and then the column is going to be column gap is going to be 3 rem, and if I save this and go back, this is what we have. It's still not nice. So what I can do is come back here and I'll say .nav link. So for the link, I want to give that a font size of 1 rem. And now if I go back, we should have this. So then we don't need these two right here. So I'm just going to grab those two at the same time. So I'll say nav toggle and then nav close. So those are going to have a display of none. And now this is what we have. All right, awesome stuff. Okay. Next, we're going to come down to the scroll now, because now as you can see, if I scroll, it works, but it's too small, just too small. So what I can do is come down here and then I'll say scroll. Oh, not inside. We're not using what's it called, SAS. We're not using SAS. So I'm gonna scroll header and then .nav. So for this now, we're gonna have a height, and the height is gonna be 5 rem. And now if I should save and then I move up, as you can see, the animation happens, but then it's just a little subtle, not that rough and small and tiny. All right, so for the next section, we're going to start with this home section. The home section is going to have which is the hero section. Actually, people like calling it home section, so that's what most of us are used to. All right, so for this hero home section, I'm going to say home dash container, and for the container, I want to make the position to be relative, position relative, and then grid template columns. I'm going to say 1FR and then 0.6. And yeah, should I do FR? So if I go back, okay, we have this now. So this is better, but then our image is broken. So what I can do is I'll go down and then I'll grab the image and then IMG. So I'm going to grab that and then I'll say top. So the top is going to be -6 rem, and then the right is going to be -2 rem. So if I should save this, and now this is what we have. Okay, so this is very, very good. So for the home data, I'm going to say, margin top is going to be 7 rem, and then the left column, if you remember, we have a left column. So the left call, we're going to make that, give that a padding right of 240 pixel, and then right call, we're going to say padding left, and that's going to be 270 pixel. So basically the padding, the left call and right call are for this. So as you can see, this is the right call, so we gave it a padding from here to push it to the left, and then this is the left call, we gave it a padding from the right to push it from the left, so that to push it down to the right. So these are for these two right here. All right, so moving forward, we're going to have our feature container, and this is the most annoying part because of the tooltip and hotspots. But yeah, we're going to fix it. So features container, we can say grid templates columns, we're going to have 0.7 rem and then 1 FR, and we want to align items to be center. Oh, I did rem, no wonder. It's supposed to be 0.7 FR. I'm already using rems too much. Okay, so now we have this. So that is that. And next we're going to say tooltip, hold on, tooltip content. I want to set that back to 200 pixel, the width, not to windows or what's called. The width is going to be 200 pixels, so we set it back, we reset it to 240 pixels before, but now we're making it 200 because the spacing here is really small, as you can see. So we can be doing left, because the left one will go outside of the page, which is not what we want. So now I'm going to come back, and after this tooltip 200 pixel, I'm going to come back here, and then I think I should just copy whatever I have here, so save some time. So I'm going to copy all this over. So the last thing we wrote here was this tooltip content. We gave it a width of 200 pixels. But here we are dragging all those stuff again. We're practically repeating what we've been doing before. So now the left is 8.8 rem. The tooltip is the tooltip item 1 is top, has a top of 2.8 rem. Item 2 top of 6.5, and then from the item 2 we move everything back to the top. So this is basically taking it back to the top, the content rather. So this content, we're taking it back to the top, and then item 3, the same thing, content back to the top. Item 4, content back to the top. So if I save this, let me see if the values are right. All right, so the values are right, and then as you can see, this is okay. Yes, sorry, we'll move this to the right. These two middle hotspot right here, we'll move them to the right, not to the top. But this one still stays to the bottom, right, and top. Because if I should make this stay back to the left, definitely, as you all know, it's going to cut across like so. So that is the reason why we put them to the right, not left. All right. So we're going to target the case now. So for this case, I just want to increase this text. So that's the only thing I'll be doing for the case. So I'm going to say case title. So the font size is going to be 3 rem. And if I save that and go back, now we have this. All right, awesome stuff. I can even make that 0.1 because I want this apple to come down as well. So 3.1 rem. Next, for the product title, I want to give that a padding right of 300 pixel. But before I save, let's see how it looks like. So this is how it looks like right now. So I'm going to come back, and if I see it save and go back, this is what we have. Okay, so that is much better. This section right here. Okay, so I went back to, I made a mistake in the medium size, which is the 576 min width. I made a mistake in this all product. So all product is supposed to be repeat 3, but instead of 1 fr, supposed to be 142 pixel. So if I save that, and now while on the 767, this is also aligned to the center, and then they are small. So I was actually confused why it spanned across everywhere initially before. So we have that. Next, after the product title, we want to have the footer container. So right now, as you can see, everything is still stacking on top of each other, but I believe there is room enough for everything to be on their own lane. So what I can do is say footer container, and I want to make the flex direction to be row. And next, after row, I want to make the justify content to be space between. Then the align items is going to be center, not align tracks, items, center. and then the footer left core. For the left core, I'm going to say flex direction, and that will be set to row. And then justify content, that will be center. And then align items, that will be, I don't know why I'm having this, items center as well. So if I should save now and go back, this is what we have. And the reason for this is because this content is now more than what I had before. For the left column, I think I might have to leave it the same way it was before. So we are going to have to leave this like this for now. Then on the very bigger screen, okay, so I'm just going to take all this out. So for the larger screens, we're going to set our container and then make that the margin left is going to be auto and the margin right is going to be MR, is going to be auto as well. Then moving forward, the home image, the image itself, we're going to make the width, so the width is going to be 570 pixel, and then the right is going to be -8 rem, and then the home title. So for the title, in fact, I'm going to grab all the titles that I need. So the first is the home title, and then the design title, and then the product title. And now I'm going to make the font size 5.8 rem. So after that, if I hit save, and then we go back and make this 1024. So from 1024 upwards, so this is what we are going to get. The fonts are bigger and everything is bigger now. So I'm going to go back. So let's deal with this. Now if I should come back and I'm going to target the home description. So for the home description, I'm going to have a font size of 1.5 rem. Line height is going to be 3 rem. And then line height is going to be 3 rem. And then tooltip content, we're going to have a width. Jeez, I hate it when it does that. So we're going to have a width of 240 pixel. And just one more time, I'm going to copy in all those values because I don't want to bore us out. So these are all the values for the tooltip in this screen size upwards. So this screen size is actually the largest. So what I can do is just take out this, and then as you can see, we are working with all this right here. So I'm going to come back. So after pasting this, I'm going to hit save. And if I come back now, as you can see, this home page is fine. The text is also perfect. And then the buttons, perfect. Everything works just fine. And as you can see, the header is transparent now. As soon as I start scrolling, you can see now that it moves. Alright, so, and then now let's fix this part. Okay, I think we already did. But I think I missed this section right here. So I'm just going to come back to the top, or is it the top? Yeah, let me go back to the top. So this time I'm going to say design description. Font size is going to be 1.4 rem. Let's make that 7 rem. Okay, so 1.7 rem is fine in this case. I prefer this. Alright, then as you can see, all these are already positioned well, and now this is back to the left, this is back to the right, and this is still in the very center, just as we did it right here. Alright, so I'm going to be leaving this code in the description below, so you get the source code from my GitHub repo. Now the case title, so for the case title, I'm just going to set the font size to 4.5 rem, and if I save and go back, now we have the case title like this, the image here, and then the titles right here. So I think the last thing to do is just this. So if I come back, I'm going to grab, let me go back up and see. So footer container, left, I think it's supposed to be left call, right? Okay, so I'm going to come back. I'm going to say that footer left call, and then flex direction is going to be row, and then justify content center, and now align items center as well, and this is it. So here's what we have, right? Alrighty, awesome stuff. So I could even make just to add one or two stuff, I could make this channel name a link. So I could do a space a, and then href. So it's gonna link to, I'll definitely put my channel link right here, but for now I'm just gonna do, for the sake of this tutorial, to save time, I'm gonna do this and then cut this out of here and put it right in here. Let me take the space off here and make it stay here instead. Okay, so now if I save this and come back, we'll get this weird color. So but then if I should go back to style and go to the very top, out of the media queries, just before the media queries, we have this our footer. So what I can do is, if I come down to index.html, in these terms, we see country. So what I can do is just add a class here as well. So the class is going to be channel, or we could say YT channel, and then if I save that, I come right here. So all I have to do now is right here, I'll just add a comma. After copyright, I'll add, a dot, and then say YT channel, and then add a comma like so. So if I save this and come back here and refresh, so what happens? Is it not channel? Oh, I missed the L, yeah. So if I should save this one and come back now, yeah. So as you can see now, we have this. Okay, so I think I need the hover state as well. So I'm going to place this right here as well. So just before the terms, I'm going to come down as YT channel, hover, and comma. So now we have the same effect we have here. And as you can see, if you hover over this, it turns white, this turns white, this turns white. Alright, so if you enjoyed this video, guys, please kindly hit that like button. And if you're not subscribed yet, well, you better do, because henceforth this is going to be consistent. We're going to make videos every single week, and it's going to be awesome designs that you can actually use for your own personal project or for a client project. There is no copyright. This is copyright free, so you can use it as you please. And yeah, I'll see you on the next video, guys. Thank you very much for sticking around all through this section. Peace.